Alright, boys. Welcome to the, I think this is the third installment of the video update. This was going to be for week 15 of our season. So a few things to discuss. I won't take too much of your time except for one particular topic. So with regards to the 3 stars, we had Albion defeating Will to claim first star. Peg City Jeff C. Defeated Bruise Brothers, which is Dan, and for third star, Johnny with his White Whiskey team beat Kyle and his Hurricanes. Jeff gets the second star based on the fact they had less losses. So with this week, there's other than Albion, cracking the 10 or more win barrier, most of the matchups are pretty close, so that's good. So let's get started here. Gretzky's birthday is today. He turns 50. Now, obviously, I'm not sure entirely how old everyone is here, but assuming we're all into our 20s or older. And so it's pretty neat seeing all these older guys get older, which means we're getting older. Now, Gretzky, obviously, there's not much to discuss about the playing career. 92 goals, 215 points. On and on and on and on. However, I did think that his coaching stint with Phoenix was pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he had a great lineup or anything, but was there really much of a difference between the roster that he had and what Dave Tippett had to get him into the playoffs? I don't know. So I was never a fan of his coaching ability. Perhaps some of these guys need to learn how to be a coach rather than just simply playing the game. So we'll see. Who knows what's next? Maybe he'll try to get into a GM role like Yzerman did. But certainly, great player, wasn't such a great coach. It does bring me a fond memory of the last game of his career. I believe it was 97. No, the 99. My apologies. The reason I was during the telecast of the last game, I was watching it with my brother-in-law at the time, and one of my nephews, Justin, was only 4 years old, so it had to have been 99. And so we're watching the game, and we're like, Justin, come sit down, watch the game with us. This is history. This is Gretzky's last game, and of course, he, as a 4-year-old, who gives a crap, right? So he was. So we were in my mom's basement, and the basement to my mom's, off the side door of the house, goes straight down, but there's no door. So the window in the actual door, it shines light down into the bottom of the basement staircase, and so with that, there was a lot of dust particles floating, and you could see them. And so instead of watching Gretzky's last game with us, my nephew Justin was fighting the dust. It was super funny. I always remember that. I thought I'd share it with you guys. Biggest news of the season: Jacques Lemaire announcing he won't return as the Devils coach next year. I guess being 90 years old is too much, and I can't even believe he came back in the first place. But news of the year. So what else? Poor Mark Savard suffered yet another concussion, and if this doesn't end his career, then it should. At this point, the guy is playing with fire. He's already in his 30s. I don't know if he has any kids or anything, but at this point, just quit while you're ahead, while you still have a functioning brain and body. It's so sad, just because he's a high-quality player. Now, speaking of concussions, so segue into the Crosby. He's missed quite a few games now. I believe it's pretty precautionary. Obviously, he's such an elite player that they'll take as much time as they can. But the funny part was last night when the Islanders lost 1-0 to Pittsburgh, they were showing some stats. The Pittsburgh, their record without just Crosby in the lineup, without just Malkin in the lineup, and then the record with both of them out of the lineup at the same time. And the shocking part is that the Penguins have a winning record without Crosby, they have a winning record without Malkin, and a winning record without either of them in the lineup, which, if you think about how important they are and how talented they are, usually when a big player goes out with injury, you tend to start losing games. I don't know if that's a kudos to the rest of the Penguins squads or what, but I found that quite bizarre that they doesn't even matter if they're in the lineup or not. What else here? Just a quick standings mention. The Flyers are number 1 in the league. Wasn't really expecting that. I mean, obviously they'd be good, but and then in the West we still have San Jose and LA out of the playoffs, and the Hawks are just holding on by like a point. So I think I mentioned before earlier in the year about those 3 teams battling it out for last playoff spots, and looks like that's going to be the case. Some other tidbits, non-hockey related. Super Bowl, obviously there's already a thread started regarding it. Just wanted to point out the great matchup. Big Ben versus Rodgers is going to be awesome. A lot of times the Super Bowls, not always, but sometimes end up in unbalanced matchups. Even last year we had a great one with Breeze versus Manning. But over the last few years, there's Steelers beat the Seahawks, Colts beat the Bears. Just one team is there for a reason, the other kind of snuck in, whatever. So this will be a high-profile matchup. I hope it's a close game because I'll be fine with whoever wins it. And then another, not NFL but CFL mention: the great Ben Cahoon is retiring. The guy was awesome. I don't care if he never played for Winnipeg. He's definitely one of the greatest CFL players ever. Just the clutch player. And so a buddy of mine at work was joking today, we just need this to be Calvillo's last year, and maybe the Bombers will start having a chance. So that's just a quick update. Not too much going on. There was still more injury replacements for the All-Star lineup. I don't think I'll mention anything more about that until I see an actual finalized roster. Maybe I'll throw an update. I don't know. Now, besides that, we come down to Nabokov. So, obviously with Nabokov, there's a debate on how it went down. So, obviously because this is with my Islanders, I paid very close attention to it. What it was is that earlier in the year, actually let me back up a little bit. The ruling of the league states that if you play for any European team during an NHL season, if you break your contract and decide to try to come back to the NHL, you can sign a contract with the team, but you must clear waivers first. Okay, so that's the basis of it. And St. Louis got screwed over twice this year because with their forward injuries that I keep mentioning, they tried grabbing Marek Svatos when he broke his contract in Europe, and Phoenix grabbed him on the waivers. Then St. Louis tried grabbing Kyle Wellwood, who also terminated his contract in Europe, and San Jose grabbed him off waivers. So there's nothing wrong with what went down. Is it a kind of a stupid rule that these players have to clear waivers? Yes, but it's the case. So a few days prior to the waiver process even starting, the Islanders did make known their interest of potentially trying to grab him because they don't want Kevin Poulin in the NHL yet, although he's he's going to be great, but they want to develop him. So they mentioned the interest. Nabokov and his agent informed the entire league that if he does get claimed by another team, he will play for whoever picks him. Okay? That's not talking about 27 teams, 28 teams, 2 teams. That's any team. Okay? So it comes down to the wire process. And of course, the Islanders are second or third last in the league, so they had first pick. The night before, one of their other goalies, Nathan Lawson, hurt his knee. So before there was an interest in signing Nabokov, and then with Ricky being unstable, they're like, "Okay, we need a goalie for sure." Now the people might want to bring up Rolson. Rolson wanted out of New York. He didn't want to stay there. He's 41 years old. There's no reason for him to be on a non-playoff team because he's playing so well. So he wanted off the team. So it's not as though the Islanders, were wanting to necessarily get rid of him. Of course, they were going to at the deadline at least, because he has no more value to them. But the situation is that we have Nabokov stating that he'll play for any team. Islanders grabbed him, and then he pulls the "I'm more important than anyone else." It bothers me because there's only like 700 plus players that are actually in the NHL. Think about all the people that would die to play a single game in that league, and this guy decides to just to show up halfway through the year and think that he can sign with anyone and just go on to the Stanley Cup final. If Nabokov had tried to not demand $5 or $6 million a year this summer, he wouldn't have had to go to Europe and he'd still be in the league. But he was greedy and wanted more money and would not budge, and so he left. So who are you to come back and just state that, you know, you're just going to do whatever you want? It doesn't work that way. If you had any clout, and as mentioned in the thread already, he's got no rings, just playoff failure after playoff failure after playoff failure. Now, the rest of the San Jose team chokes too, so you can't just blame it all on him. He's a quality regular season goalie. You know, jury's out on the playoffs. So now that we have him not coming, he refuses to report because he doesn't, you know, as he said, what's the point? The point is, you signed a contract. Islanders claimed you. You honor that contract. You know, there's no two ways about it. Him and his agent lied to the entire league that he would play for anyone, which was not true at all, and he had zero intention of playing for anyone but an obvious contender. But how in the world would he have dropped all the way down to the bottom of that waiver wire where all the good teams are? He wouldn't. The Islanders are only paying him $250,000 this year for almost half a year. Okay? Anyone who needed a goaltender would have grabbed him because that's a ridiculous cap hit. It's not even a cap hit. You don't even think about $250K. So basically what happens now is that if he refuses to report, which he has, the Islanders have suspended him. If he does not come and play for the rest of this year, he owes the Islanders all of the next year. So here it comes down to, Nabokov, if you ever want to play in the NHL again, at 35 years old, if you lose this half a year and you lose all of next year, no one's ever going to sign you to a contract. So act your age, honor the contract that you signed, and if you have any integrity at all, you'll profusely apologize to not only the Islanders, their fans, but to the NHL itself. To be honest, it's a spit in the face of anyone who's ever tried to play in the NHL. Alright, so that's my spiel. Tonight I'm donning the backwards DiPietro jersey to show you mothers. Yeah, maybe it doesn't work too well. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see it. I won't be able to see this until after I finish recording. But Islanders are playing Carolina tonight, and last Ricky D battle before the All-Star break. So enjoy that if you guys catch it. I think if anything that I'll check out is probably just the skill stuff. All-Star games usually below. But anyway, have a great double week, guys. Remember that you're playing the same person this week and next week. The game limits, as I mentioned, are increased. They're quite high, so have fun trying to fill the 48 forward slots in less than 2 weeks, because there's about 4 or 5 days there where there's no games. Yeah, so enjoy that, and thanks for putting up with my ugly face. All right, bye.